A wealthy woman who tormented poor students found herself giving birth while the doctor saving her life was one of those students. What happened next will change how you see revenge forever. Previously on When the Past Returns, Amara Okonkwo, a woman of wealth and status, bullied two twin brothers throughout secondary school simply because their parents were humble market vendors. 15 years later, pregnant and living in luxury, she believes the past is dead. But the past is never really dead. Sometimes it returns. And when it does, it brings lessons that will change everything. Dawn broke over Lagos like a promise, gentle, golden, full of possibility. The city of 20 million souls stirred slowly from its slumber. Already, the sounds of early commerce drifted up from the streets below. Vendors setting up stalls, Okada motorcycles weaving through traffic. The distant call to prayer echoing from mosques across the city. Lagos never truly slept. It simply shifted gears between its different rhythms. Day Lagos and night Lagos, always moving, always alive. But in the master bedroom of the Okafor mansion in Ikoyi, one of Lagos's most exclusive neighborhoods where only the truly wealthy could afford to live, time seemed suspended in a bubble of perfect peace. Amara Okonkwo woke gradually, her consciousness rising like a diver ascending toward light. Her eyes fluttered open to see the familiar ceiling of her bedroom, hand-painted imported Italian wallpaper with subtle floral patterns. Expensive, tasteful, perfect. The morning sun streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, painting everything in shades of amber and gold. For these first few seconds of wakefulness, before memory, before worry, before the day's demands could intrude, everything was absolutely right with the world. She moved her hand instinctively to her swollen belly, feeling the solid weight and warmth of the life growing inside her. 9 months. The weight was familiar now, comforting even. Her daughter, their daughter, would be born any day now. Just 3 more days until her due date, though Dr. Adeyemi had mentioned that first babies often arrived late. Amara hoped she wouldn't be late. Everything had been planned with such precision, such meticulous attention to detail. Shifting carefully, she eased herself into a sitting position on the edge of the bed. Even this simple movement required thought and effort now. Her body had transformed completely over these months, becoming something both intimately familiar and strangely foreign. She'd gained 40 pounds according to the scale at her last checkup, but everyone said she was glowing. The glow of pregnancy, they called it, the beauty of creation. She had to admit, even at 9 months pregnant, carrying all this extra weight, she looked good, better than good, radiant. "My little princess," she whispered, gently tracing circles on her belly with her fingertips. "You have no idea what kind of life is waiting for you. Mama has made sure of everything, absolutely everything." A gentle kick responded, as if her daughter acknowledged the promise, participated in this moment. Amara smiled, genuinely, unguarded. Alone here, she could simply be a mother-to-be, dreaming. "The best of everything," she continued softly, her voice certain. "The finest schools. You're already registered at Corona for nursery. And when you're older, maybe Grange School or Queen's College. Designer clothes from Paris and Milan. None of these local Nigerian brands, only the best. Vacations every year, Dubai, London, Paris, wherever you want to go. Your own trust fund that daddy has already set up. You'll never have to worry about money, never have to depend on anyone. Your own car at 16, maybe a nice Mercedes, something safe but stylish. You'll never know struggle, baby girl. Never know want. Never know what it's like to be less than." As she spoke these words, words she'd repeated to herself like a mantra throughout the pregnancy. Something flickered at the edge of consciousness, a memory. Uninvited, unwelcome. Two boys in faded school uniforms, worn fabric, white, no longer quite white despite their mother's best efforts at washing and bleaching. But despite the humble clothing, they walked with quiet dignity. Heads held high even as she mocked them, even as she made their lives miserable day after day after day. One particular day burned in her memory, though she'd tried for years to forget it, to bury it beneath layers of wealth and status. Lunch break. The twins, Chidera and Chukwudi Nwosu, sitting under a tree, eating from simple plastic containers. Their lunch was humble, maybe rice and stew, maybe yam and eggs, but wrapped with obvious care by a mother who loved them. Amara had approached with her group of friends, the popular girls, the daughters of Lagos elite, the ones who ruled the school through money and connections. "Hey, vegetable boys!" she had called out loudly, making sure everyone in the courtyard could hear. "Is that what your mother packed for you? Food that smells like the market? Or did your father give you something from his spare parts shop? Maybe you're eating motor oil and bolts for lunch. Eh?" Her friends had laughed. The crowd that had gathered to watch the entertainment had laughed. Even some teachers within earshot had pretended not to hear, unwilling to confront the daughter of the wealthy Chief Okonkwo. And the twins,
Look at them, still eating out
they
of
had
those old
simply
containers.
continued eating,
They never
faces
change, do they?
carefully neutral,
So pathetic.
refusing to give her the satisfaction of a reaction, which had only made her angrier, made her push harder, dig deeper. "You know what I packed for lunch?" She'd opened her designer lunch bag with theatrical flair. Jollof rice from Yellow Chili restaurant. It cost 5,000 naira for this one meal. That's probably more than your mother makes in a week selling her tomatoes and onions at Oyingbo markets. Then Chidera had looked up, his young face so serious, so earnest. "Our mother is a good woman who works honest work to take care of her family. There's no shame in that." No shame. Amara had laughed, a harsh, cruel sound she could still hear echoing in her memory. There's nothing but shame in being poor, in having parents who are nobody, who do nothing, who are nothing. You're nothing. You'll always be nothing. No matter how many scholarships you get, no matter how smart you think you are, you'll always be the vegetable seller's sons, the spare parts dealer's sons. That's what you are. That's all you'll ever be. Amara shook her head sharply now, as if trying to physically dislodge the memories. Why was she thinking about them now, on what should be a perfect day? They were nothing, nobodies. She'd left them far behind when she graduated from university and married into wealth. They had probably ended up doing nothing with their lives despite their precious academic scholarships. That's what happened to people like that. People who had to struggle, who didn't have connections, who didn't know the right people. Poverty was usually a life sentence. "They don't matter," she told her reflection firmly, meeting her own eyes in the ornate gold mirror. "They never mattered. The past is dead. Only the future matters." She stood slowly from the vanity, smoothing her nightgown over her belly. It was time to get dressed, have breakfast, prepare for another day in her perfect life. She had no idea, absolutely no idea, that in less than 2 hours, her entire world would come crashing down, that the past she'd buried so carefully was about to come roaring back, that those names she'd dismissed, Chidera and Chukwudi Nwosu, were about to become the most important names in her life. By 9:30,
Thank you.
Amara
You are
was
welcome.
dressed in an elegant maternity dress, designer of course, imported from Paris, and sitting at the breakfast table. Mrs. Adebayo, their housekeeper, had prepared everything perfectly as always. Fresh tropical fruits, imported yogurt, eggs. Benedict with imported smoked salmon, a specific brand of orange juice flown in from Spain because the Nigerian brands were, in Amara's opinion, too acidic. "Good morning, madam." Mrs. Adebayo greeted her with that gentle maternal voice she always used. "How is the baby today? Did you sleep well?" "Good morning, Mrs. Adebayo." Amara settled carefully into her chair, arranging cushions to support her back. "The baby was very active last night.
Welcome.
I swear she was doing gymnastics in there, but I slept well enough." Active baby
You
means
are welcome.
healthy baby, madam. That's what they say. Mrs. Adebayo poured tea with practiced care. "Not long now. Just 3 more days. Everything ready at the hospital?" "Everything," Amara confirmed. "We have a private suite reserved at Lagos University Teaching Hospital. The best doctors, the finest care, everything money can buy." She didn't know, couldn't possibly know, how prophetic those words would become. The best doctors. One of those doctors would have a face from her past. The doorbell rang at exactly 10 a.m., shattering the morning peace like a hammer through glass, not the gentle melodic chime they were accustomed to from family and friends visiting. This was aggressive, insistent, demanding. Someone was leaning on the bell continuously, ring, 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 refusing to stop. Amara was about having her breakfast. "What in the world?" Amara muttered, irritation flashing across her face. "Mrs. Adebayo, please go and tell whoever that is to stop behaving like an area boy. They should wait properly or leave. How rude!" But before Mrs. Adebayo could move toward the foyer, they heard Nnamdi's voice, her husband's voice, and something in his tone made Amara's blood run cold. Confused, uncertain, almost frightened. "Can I help you?" Then another voice, hard, official, unmistakable authority. "Nnamdi Okonkwo, we're from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. We have a warrant for your arrest." Time didn't just slow down, it froze completely, as if someone had pressed pause on reality itself. Amara felt her heart literally seize in her chest, felt the blood drain from her face. The kitchen tilted sideways, or maybe she tilted. She couldn't tell. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. There had to be some mistake. Some terrible, horrible mistake. She moved as quickly as her 9 months pregnant body would allow, waddling, one hand supporting her belly, the other trailing along walls for balance. Through the dining room with its long mahogany table, down the hallway lined with expensive art, into the foyer. What she saw there would be burned into her memory forever, seared into her brain like a brand. 6 men in dark clothes filled her entrance hall. Her beautiful, elegant entrance hall with its imported marble floors, its crystal chandelier, its carefully curated collection of expensive Nigerian art. The men looked completely out of place. Shadows intruding into a space meant only for light and luxury. And Nnamdi, her husband, her confident, successful, always in control husband. Now he stood in the center of these men, looking smaller than she had ever seen him, diminished. His expensive silk pajamas suddenly looked ridiculous, like a costume, like he was a child playing dress-up. One officer stepped forward, holding an official document bearing the seal of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. "Nnamdi Okonkwo, you are under arrest for multiple counts of fraud, money laundering, and corruption. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, there must be some mistake," Nnamdi interrupted, his voice weak, unconvincing even to his own ears. "I'm a legitimate businessman. Import and export. I have all my documents, all my paperwork. I can show you everything. There's been a mistake. We know exactly what your business is, Mr. Okafor. Another officer cut him off, his voice dripping with contempt. We've been investigating you for 2 years. The words kept coming, each one hitting Amara like a physical blow. Shell companies, fake import documentation, money laundering through 15 different bank accounts, over 300 million naira in proceeds of crime, fraud against multiple Nigerian businesses and international partners. We have documentation, witnesses, evidence. You can explain everything to our investigators. Downtown, at the EFCC headquarters. 2 years. They said 2 years. The words penetrated Amara's shocked brain like bullets. They'd been investigating Namdi for 2 years. She and Namdi had been married for 3 years total, which meant, "We've been married for 3 years," she heard herself say, her voice sounding strange and distant, like it belonged to someone else entirely, like she was listening to herself from underwater. "Almost our entire marriage. You've been committing fraud during almost our entire marriage?" Namdi couldn't meet her eyes, couldn't even look in her direction. That's when she knew it was true. All of it. Every word. The officers moved with practiced efficiency as if they'd done this 1,000 times before, and they probably had. One produced metal handcuffs from his belt. Actual handcuffs. The kind you see in movies, in television shows, in news reports about criminals. But never, never on someone you know, someone you love, someone whose child is literally growing inside you at this very moment. "Is that necessary?" Amara heard herself asking, surprised her voice even worked. "Please, he won't run. He'll cooperate. He'll do whatever you need. Please don't." "Standard procedure, ma'am," the officer said, not unkindly, but with absolute finality. "Please step back." They put the handcuffs on Namdi's wrists, securing his hands behind his back. The clicking sound of the metal closing seemed impossibly loud in the sudden, terrible silence of the house. Sharp, final, irreversible. The sound of a life ending. "Everything is going to be seized," another officer announced, reading from a tablet computer with cold professionalism. "This house, all vehicles registered to you, all bank accounts, all jewelry, all assets connected to Mr. Okafor's criminal enterprises. We'll be conducting a full inventory starting tomorrow morning. Someone from our asset recovery division will be in touch about the legal process. You have 30 days to vacate these premises." "Seized," Amara repeated. The word didn't make sense. Her brain refused to process it. "But this is our home. My clothes, my jewelry, the nursery I just finished decorating for the baby, the—" "Proceeds of crime, ma'am," the officer said, his tone neither cruel nor sympathetic, just factual, doing his job. "You'll be able to keep basic personal necessities, some clothing, toiletries, essential items. But everything purchased with stolen money will be confiscated by the government. Everything will be auctioned off. The proceeds will go to a fund for victims of financial crimes.
Oh no!
Everything. Everything they owned. The mansion they'd lived in for 2 years.
No.
The 3 luxury cars in the driveway. Her wardrobes full of designer clothes shipped from Paris and Milan. Her jewelry collection worth millions. The trust fund they'd set up for their daughter. The life she'd built. The future she'd planned. The perfection she'd achieved. All of it built on lies and theft. All of it about to disappear like smoke. "Madam, please," Mrs. Adebayo said, rushing over despite her own tears. "You should go lie down. Go to your room. Rest. The stress. This is not good for the baby. Your blood pressure. You need to—" That's when Amara felt it. Sharp, sudden, unmistakable. different from the Braxton Hicks contractions she'd been having for the past few weeks. Those false labor pains that had sent her to the hospital twice already, only to be sent home with reassurances that it wasn't time yet. This was real.
No.
This was the real thing. And then she felt the gush of warm liquid, felt wetness spreading beneath her on the cold marble steps. She looked down in disbelief, in a kind of detached shock, and saw the clear fluid pooling on the pristine white marble. Saw it spreading, soaking into her expensive dress, running down the steps. Her water had broken. The baby was coming. Right now. In the middle of this disaster. In the middle of the worst day of her life. Her daughter, her innocent, perfect daughter who had done nothing wrong, was choosing this moment to enter the world. "Mrs. Adebayo," Amara heard herself say, and was surprised by how calm her voice sounded, almost detached, like she was floating somewhere above her body, watching all of this happen to someone else. "Call an ambulance, the baby is coming." But before they could get her into the ambulance, before the paramedics could even arrive, her father made another call. His voice was crisp, commanding, the voice of a man who was used to solving problems with money and connections. "David," he said into his phone, speaking to his personal assistant, a man who had worked for him for 15 years and knew how to make things happen. "I need you to get me the best criminal defense lawyer in Nigeria. I don't care what it costs. I need someone who can save my son-in-law from this EFCC situation. I need the lawyer who never loses, the one with the perfect record, the best of the best." The ambulance arrived, sirens wailing, cutting through the morning quiet of the exclusive Ikoyi neighborhood. Neighbors were probably watching from their windows, probably wondering what disaster had struck the perfect Okafor family. By tomorrow, the gossip would spread like wildfire through Lagos society. Paramedics rushed in with professional efficiency, a man and woman in crisp uniforms, carrying equipment, moving with the practiced speed of people who dealt with emergencies every day. "Female, 9 months pregnant, water broke approximately 30 minutes ago," the male paramedic reported into his radio as his partner began checking Amara's vitals. "Contractions are regular, 4 to 5 minutes apart and getting stronger. Patient is in significant distress." "Blood pressure?" the female paramedic asked, wrapping the cuff around Amara's arm. A moment of tense silence as she read the numbers. 160/110. And rising. Her voice sharpened with concern. "We need to get her to Luth immediately. This could develop into preeclampsia if we don't act fast. Let's move." Another contraction hit, and Amara squeezed her father's hand so hard she thought she might break his fingers, crying out in pain despite the oxygen mask muffling her voice. "It's going to be okay," Chief Okonkwo kept repeating, stroking her hair with his free hand. "Everything is going to be okay. We have the best lawyer. He'll help Namdi. He'll fix this legal situation. And we're going to the hospital now. The best hospital. You and the baby are going to be fine. Everything will be fine." But Amara barely heard him. Her mind was stuck, frozen, repeating one thing over and over. The lawyer's name. The lawyer her father had just hired to save Namdi. The supposedly best lawyer in Lagos, Chidera and Chukwudi Nwosu, the twins. And tomorrow morning, less than 24 hours from now, she was going to walk into a law office and come face to face with him, with one of the people she had hurt most in the world, whose life she had tried to make miserable, whose dignity she had attacked day after day after day. And she was going to have to beg him for help. Beg the vegetable seller's son, now apparently one of Lagos's most powerful lawyers, to save her husband from prison. The irony was so cruel, it almost seemed designed by some cosmic force that believed in poetic justice. The ambulance sped through Lagos traffic, Sirens screaming, rushing toward Lagos University Teaching Hospital, toward doctors, toward her daughter's
Just try to
birth,
stay calm.
toward bringing a new life into the world during the worst day of her own life. But
We are
Amara
almost there.
barely
Just try to stay
registered
calm.
any of it. All she could think about was tomorrow morning. All she could see in her mind was a teenage boy's face. Quiet, dignified, looking up at her after she'd mocked his mother's honest work, after she'd called his family nothing, after she'd tried to crush his spirit. And all she could hear was his young voice, so calm, so certain. Our mother is a good woman who works honest work to take care of her family. There's no shame in that. Tomorrow morning, she would have to walk into the office of that boy, now a man, now powerful, now one of Lagos's most successful lawyers, and she would have to look him in the eye and ask for help. Beg for help. From the vegetable seller's son. The past wasn't dead. The past was never dead. And tomorrow it would come crashing back with a vengeance. Previously on When the Past Returns. Amara's perfect life shattered when her husband was arrested for fraud. In her devastation, her water broke early. As she was rushed to the hospital, her father revealed that the lawyer who could save them was named Nwosu, that name from her past. Could it be?
I don't know if I can do this. I'm so scared. Just breathe. But what if they don't agree?
Amara woke in the hospital after a sleepless night. The doctor had stabilized her blood pressure with medication, but warned her to avoid stress. Stress. As if that were possible when your husband was in jail and your entire life was falling apart. Her father arrived early with clothes, simple, dignified maternity wear, nothing like the designer outfits she usually wore. "The lawyer will see us at 9:30, he said. "His name is Chidera and Nwosu, best in Lagos, never lost a case." Amara's heart stopped. Chidera and Nwosu, the vegetable seller's son, the boy she'd mocked for 3 years, now Lagos's top lawyer. The universe wasn't just cruel, it was poetic. The drive through Lagos traffic gave Amara too much time to think. She watched street vendors setting up their wares, just like Chidera's mother used to do. Mechanics opening their shops, just like his father. Honest work, honest lives. While she had been living on stolen money, judging them, thinking herself superior. "When we meet him, let me do the talking," her father said. "We need to make a good impression." A good impression. On the boy she'd spent years trying to destroy. The building was everything Amara had once believed impossible for someone like Chidera. glass and steel gleaming in the Lagos sun, one of the most expensive addresses in the city. The boy who walked to school now owned a firm here. The reception area took her breath away. This wasn't just success, this was triumph. Awards lined the walls, news articles about landmark cases, photos of the firm's chairman with presidents, governors, celebrities. And there, in the center, a large professional portrait, Chidera and Nwosu, older, confident, wearing an expensive suit, but unmistakably him. The caption, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Chairman. Papa, Amara whispered, her voice shaking. I know him from school. Papa, I was cruel to him. So cruel. But before she could explain, a secretary appeared. Chief Okonkwo, Mrs. Okafor, the chairman will see you now.
Good afternoon. Please have a seat.
Thank you so much. We appreciate this.
Chidera and Nwosu stood as they entered. Taller than she remembered. Confident in a way the shy schoolboy never was. His eyes met hers directly, and she saw it, the flicker of recognition. He knew exactly who she was. He remembered everything. But when he spoke, his voice was perfectly professional. Chief Okonkwo, Mrs. Okafor, please have a seat. He reviewed the case details with clinical precision. The charges against Namdi were serious. Fraud, money laundering, years of criminal activity. But Chidera could help, for a price, and with full cooperation. I don't understand, Amara finally said, tears streaming down her face. Why would you help me? After everything I did to you in school, I was horrible. I mocked you, your parents, everything about you. Why?
Mrs. Okafor, Amara, I remember everything. Every cruel word, every time you made me feel small. But I became a lawyer because I believe in justice. Real justice, not revenge justice. The kind that serves everyone, regardless of their past behavior. You need help, I can provide it. That's all this needs to be.
His words hit her like physical blows. This was grace. This was what real strength looked like. Not using power to hurt, but choosing to help despite everything. And then she felt it. A sharp pain in her lower abdomen. A warm sensation. Oh no, she gasped. My water just broke. While the discussion was going on, Amara's water broke. Everything happened fast. Chidera was immediately on his intercom calling an ambulance. Professional, calm, taking control. Within minutes, paramedics arrived. As they loaded her onto the stretcher, Amara grabbed Chidera's hand. Please, she begged, please still help my husband. For my daughter, she needs her father. Chidera squeezed her hand gently. I'll take the case. I'll do everything I can. Now go, focus on bringing your daughter safely into the world. As the ambulance pulled away, sirens wailing, Chidera stood in his office doorway and pulled out his phone. Chidera, on phone. Chukwudi, it's me. Something just happened. Remember Amara Okonkwo from Victoria Grammar? She just went into labor. In my office. They're taking her to Lagos University Teaching Hospital right now. Brother, she's coming to your hospital. Chukwudi, voice filtered. Amara Okonkwo, the girl who made our lives hell? Brother, are you serious? Chidera, completely serious. She's 9 months pregnant, water just broke, severely elevated blood pressure. This could be complicated. And brother, she knows who we are now. She apologized, broke down crying in my office. I took her husband's case. Chukwudi. And you want me to? Chidera. Treat her like you treat any patient, with care and professionalism, because that's who Papa and Mama raised us to be. There was a pause then. You're right. If she comes to my hospital, I'll help her. Not because she deserves it, but because that's what grace looks like. The table was turning, but not in the way anyone expected. The past had returned, not to destroy, but to teach. Not to punish, but to transform. And in an operating room at Lagos University Teaching Hospital, the second twin was waiting. Next time on When the Past Returns. Episode 8, Reunion with the Past, Part 2. Amara meets the second twin.
Keep breathing, ma'am. We're almost there.
Just a little further. Okay, here we go.
Take a head. Coming out.
Here's the baby.
Previously on When the Past Returns, Amara discovered that Chidera and Nwosu, the boy she tormented, was now Lagos's top lawyer. As he agreed to help despite her cruelty, her water broke in his office. Now, racing to the hospital, she's about to meet the second twin. The ambulance tore through Lagos traffic. Each contraction was a wave of pain, but worse than the physical agony was the psychological torment. How could this be happening? Both brothers, both twins she'd spent years tormenting, were now the only people who could save her. Her husband in jail, her wealth seized, and now, completely vulnerable, going into labor, she was about to face the second Nwosu twin. The one who'd become a doctor. Would he help her? Could he possibly forgive what she'd done?
Help us get her inside quickly. Move the gun in here. All right, let's open the doors. Watch your step.
They rushed her into the emergency department. A nurse appeared, efficient, professional. Obstetric emergency. Page Dr. Nwosu immediately. Pregnant woman in labor, severe hypertension complications. Dr. Nwosu! Amara's heart stopped. No, it couldn't be. But she knew. Even before he appeared, she knew.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Nwosu, the Chief of Surgery. I've got a heartbeat. You're doing great. We're going to take care of you.
Is everything okay?
Yes, we need to prepare for immediate delivery. Get an OR ready?
The curtains swept aside, and there he was, Chukwudi Nwosu, older, confident, wearing the white coat of authority, but unmistakably the same boy, the spare parts dealer's son, now Chief of Surgery. Mrs. Okonkwo, he said calmly, reviewing her monitors. I'm Dr. Chukwudi Nwosu. I'll be overseeing your care today. Their eyes met. Recognition flashed between them. He knew. She knew that he knew, and he knew that she knew. Amara, sobbing. Chukwudi, I can't. After what I did to you, I don't deserve... Chukwudi. Mrs. Okonkwo, when I became a doctor, I took an oath, the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. That oath doesn't come with exceptions. It doesn't say, help people, except the ones who were mean to you in school. It says, help people. All people. Right now, you and your baby need help. So that's what I'm going to provide.
The fetal heart rate is holding steady.
Is the baby all right, doctor?
Everything is within expected parameters. We're proceeding with the current treatment plan.
Chukwudi reviewed her case with clinical precision. Blood pressure dangerously elevated. Baby showing signs of distress. The safest option was an emergency C-section. Her father arrived, worried and confused by the connection between his daughter and this doctor. Chukwudi explained the procedure, the risks, the necessity. Chukwudi, I won't lie to you. There are always risks with surgery, especially with elevated blood pressure. But the risks of not intervening are far greater. I'll do everything in my power to ensure both mother and baby come through safely. Amara, I need you to operate on me, you specifically, because you just told me who you are. You took an oath to help everyone. You won't let my past cruelty determine your present actions. So yes, I want you to do the surgery, because I know you'll do your absolute best, not for me, but because that's who you are. Chukwudi looked at her for a long moment. I'll perform the surgery personally, and I give you my word, my professional word and my personal word, that I will do everything possible to bring your daughter safely into this world.
Suction. Okay, ready. Vitals are steady. We can begin.
In the operating room, under bright surgical lights, Chukwudi transformed from the man having an emotional conversation into the surgeon he'd trained years to become. Personal feelings set aside. What mattered now was precision, expertise, excellence. Scalpel, please. The surgery progressed with mechanical efficiency, layer by layer, following the precise path that would safely deliver the baby. Amara's blood pressure slowly decreased under anesthesia. The baby's heart rate remained strong. Approaching the uterus now. Everyone ready? Making the uterine incision. I can see the baby's head. Strong, healthy color.
Okay, here we go.
Check the head. Coming out.
Here's the baby.
Congratulations, Mom. Vitals look good.
Delivering the head. Gently. Good. Now shoulders. Excellent. And then she was there. Tiny, wet, wrinkled, absolutely perfect. A baby girl, her face scrunched up in protest at being removed from her warm cocoon. For one terrifying second, silence. And then, she cried, strong, lusty, filling the operating room with the sound of life, health, a new beginning. We have a healthy baby girl, strong cry, good muscle tone, breathing well. Time of birth, 10:47 a.m. Excellent work, everyone.
You're waking up. You've been through a big surgery. Well, what happened? Where am I? It's okay. You're safe. We're here for you. Welcome back. You're safe. Where am I? What happened? You're in recovery. We're taking care of you. My baby? Where's my baby?
When Amara woke from anesthesia, disoriented and in pain, the nurse gave her the news. Your baby is perfect. Beautiful, healthy baby girl. Later, when they brought her daughter to her, Amara's world shifted. Everything she thought was important, the wealth, status, appearances, fell away. What remained was this: a tiny person who had never known cruelty or kindness, poverty or wealth. A blank slate, a new beginning. "Hello, my baby," she whispered. "I'm your mama. And I'm so sorry it took me so long to understand what really matters."
You are recovering well.
Thank you.
I'm glad I could help. I'm glad to see you awake.
Thank you.
We're so grateful.
We're so grateful.
It's an honor to help.
When Chukwudi came to check on her, Amara couldn't stop crying. "Amara, thank you. Thank you so much. After everything I did to you." "Chukwudi, Amara, what you did to me in school, it hurt. I won't pretend it didn't. But my parents taught us that people who hurt others are usually hurting themselves. That cruelty comes from insecurity. That the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming so successful, so happy, that what happened in the past becomes just a small chapter in a much larger story. Amara, I don't deserve your forgiveness." "Chukwudi, maybe not, but grace isn't about what we deserve. It's about what we need, and right now, you need to focus on healing, both physically and as a person. You have a daughter now. She's going to learn from you. What kind of person do you want to teach her to become? Amara, someone like you, someone like your brother, someone with real strength, real grace, real nobility." Chukwudi smiled, a real smile. "Then you've already started to change." As Chukwudi left her room, Amara closed her eyes, one hand on her now flat belly, feeling the ache of surgery, but also something else, something that felt almost like peace. The past had returned, yes, but not to destroy her, to save her, not to punish her, to teach her. The table had turned, and she found herself not crushed beneath it, but held up by the very people she had once tried to push down. That was grace. That was real power. And outside her window, Lagos continued its eternal dance. Millions of stories, millions of struggles, millions of chances at redemption. Next time on When the Past Returns, Episode 9, The Grace That Changes Everything. Both brothers visit together, and Amara learns what her daughter's name will mean. Previously on When the Past Returns, Amara gave birth to a healthy baby girl, delivered by Dr. Chukwudi Nwosu, one of the twin brothers she had tormented. Both brothers demonstrated extraordinary grace, helping the woman who once tried to destroy them. Now, she must decide what kind of mother and person she will become.
She's beautiful, sweetheart. You did so well.
What?
3 hours after surgery, they brought Amara her daughter. The moment they placed the baby in her arms, Amara's world shifted. Everything she'd thought was important fell away like dead leaves. What remained was this: a tiny person who had never known cruelty or kindness, poverty or wealth. A blank slate, a new beginning. "Hello, my baby," Amara whispered. "Hello, my beautiful girl. I'm your mama." Chief Okonkwo responded, "She's perfect, absolutely perfect. Have you thought about what to name her?" Amara replied, "Chidinma. I want to name her Chidinma. It means God is good. Because after everything that's happened, after all my mistakes and cruelty and pride, I'm holding my daughter in my arms, and both of us are healthy and safe. Because 2 men I wronged chose grace over revenge. God is good, even when we're not. Chidinma. It's beautiful, perfect. Not just Okafor. I want to give her a middle name too. Chidinma Nwosu Okafor." Chief Okonkwo was surprised. "Nwosu, you want to give her the name of..." Amara interjected. "Yes, the name of the people who saved us both when they had every reason not to. Yes, Papa. I want her to carry that name. I want her to always remember that grace is more powerful than revenge." That afternoon, there was a soft knock on Amara's door. Chidera stood in the doorway, still in his suit from the office, holding a small gift bag. "I hope I'm not intruding. The nurse said you were awake." "No, please, come in." He approached slowly, eyes moving to the bassinet where Chidinma slept. "Chidera. She's beautiful. My brother told me she's completely healthy. That's wonderful. Amara. Thanks to him. Thanks to both of you. I named her Chidinma, but I also gave her Nwosu as a middle name. I hope that's not presumptuous. I wanted her to carry the name of grace." Something flickered across Chidera's face. Surprise, emotion. "Chidera. That's very meaningful. Thank you. My parents would have been honored." "Amara. Your parents. I wish I could apologize to them for how I treated their sons. They sound like they were amazing people." "Chidera. They were. They passed away 3 years ago. But yes, they were remarkable. They taught us that our worth wasn't in what we owned, but in who we were. That kindness was strength, not weakness."
Where is it?
I know this is overwhelming, but we've reviewed the documents, and I assure you we have a strong case moving forward.
Does this cover the long-term care, though?
Yes, we've made sure that's included in the settlement.
Chidera updated her on Namdi's case. The evidence was substantial: years of fraud, false companies, money laundering. But Namdi was cooperating fully. With that cooperation and Chidera's defense, he could reduce the sentence from 20 years to 5, possibly with parole after 2. Amara. 5 years. Chidinma will be 5 when her father gets out. Chidera. If he maintains good behavior. It's not ideal, Amara, but it's far better than 20 years. And honestly, given the severity of the crimes, it's a good outcome. Amara. Why are you doing this? Really? Why personally take this case? Why put yourself through dealing with me?
We stand here together because we learned that grace is more powerful than bitterness. Whatever happened, you deserve peace now. Let that burden go. What matters now is peace. Peace in your heart and peace with your past. We found that letting go opens the door to healing.
Chukwudi arrived then, still in his white coat, and the 3 of them, Amara and both brothers, sat together in that hospital room while Chief Okonkwo listened. Chidera, do you know what the hardest thing about being bullied was? It wasn't the actual cruelty. The hardest thing was what it made me question about myself. I would lie awake wondering if you were right, if I really was less than you because my parents were poor. Chukwudi, it took us years to fully believe what our parents tried to teach us, that we were valuable for who we were, not what we had. And when we finally internalized that lesson, we realized something else. If our worth doesn't come from external things, then neither does anyone else's, including yours. Chidera, you were cruel to us because you believed a lie, that wealth equals worth. But you were still a human being deserving of compassion. You're still a human being deserving of help when you need it.
My sons, remember that an honest name is better than stolen riches.
Yes, and always share what you have, no matter how little.
Chukwudi. Our mother used to say, "My sons, you are worth more than gold." Their words cannot diminish you unless you let them. Keep your eyes on your goal. One day, you will rise so high that you'll look back and realize how small those days were. She was right. We did rise. And looking at you now, we don't feel satisfaction in your downfall. Only sad pity that it took such dramatic events to teach you lessons you should have learned years ago. Amara, crying. Your parents raised extraordinary men. How did you not become bitter? Chidera. Because holding on to anger and bitterness would have destroyed us more than your words ever could. My parents taught me that. They said, the dog barks, but the caravan moves on. Don't stop for every dog. Keep moving toward your destiny. You were the dog, Amara. Barking, trying to bring us down. And we simply kept moving, kept working, kept becoming. Until we rose so high that when you finally fell, we were the ones in position to catch you. Amara broke down completely. All the pride, all the arrogance, all the false superiority, it cracked open, and what poured out was genuine remorse, genuine understanding, genuine desire to change. Amara, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was horrible to you, to your brother, to your parents. I made every day miserable for you, and you've become this. She gestured at them both, at their success, their dignity, their grace. And I'm sitting here with nothing. Everything I thought I had was stolen. My husband's a criminal, and the only people who can help me are the people I treated like dirt. Chief Okonkwo. Amara, is this true? You bullied these men in school? Amara. I didn't just bully them, Papa. I was cruel. I was so proud of our wealth, so proud of being better than people I thought were beneath me. And now look what that pride has brought me. Chukwudi. But you're learning. That's what matters. You're seeing clearly now. You're understanding that real worth has nothing to do with money or status. That's the first step. Chidera, your daughter doesn't have to learn these lessons the hard way. You can teach her differently. You can raise her to understand that every person has value, that wealth is temporary but character is eternal, that the measure of a person is how they treat others, especially those who can do nothing for them in return. After the brothers left, Amara held Chidinma close, looking down at her daughter's peaceful sleeping face. Amara, whispering to baby, Chidinma, God is good, even when Mama wasn't, even when Mama was cruel and proud and wrong. God sent two men who could have destroyed us, but who chose grace instead. I'm going to tell you about them as you grow up. About Uncle Chidera and Uncle Chukwudi. About their parents who taught them real strength. And I'm going to raise you to be like them. Not like I was. Like them, kind, humble, strong in the ways that actually matter. Outside her window, Lagos spread endlessly, a city of second chances, of redemption, of grace. The table had turned, but instead of crushing her, it had caught her. Instead of vengeance, she'd found mercy, and in that mercy, she'd found the chance to become someone new. Next time on When the Past Returns, the series finale, Episode 10, The Table Turns. 5 years later, two families that should have been enemies have become something else entirely. Watch as pride becomes humility, cruelty becomes compassion, and revenge gives way to redemption. Previously, on When the Past Returns, Amara learned what grace truly means from the two brothers she tormented. Namdi was sentenced to 5 years with parole possible after 2. Amara's life was stripped to nothing, but in that nothing, she found everything that actually mattered. Now, the final chapter of transformation.
Here is your breakfast, sweetie. Eat well.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Mama.
5 years had passed. Amara stood in her small kitchen making breakfast, simple eggs and bread. Through the doorway, Chidinma sat at the dining table, 5 years old now, carefully coloring a picture of her family. The apartment was modest, 2 bedrooms, basic furniture, no designer anything. But the walls were covered with something more valuable. Chidinma's drawings, family photos showing genuine smiles, certificates from the community center where Amara volunteered. Mama, look, I made all the colors stay inside the lines. That's beautiful, my love. You're so talented, and you know what makes me even more proud? Yesterday, you shared your crayons with that little boy who didn't have any. Chidinma beamed. His name is Tunde. He was sad. Sharing made him happy. Amara. That's right, baby. That's what really matters. Making others happy. Being kind. Do you remember what Mama always tells you? Chidinma. Everyone is the same. Everyone is human. And being human means we all deserve kindness. Amara kissed her daughter's forehead. 5 years ago, she would never have believed this life could make her happy. Now, she couldn't imagine any other life. Namdi had been released 3 years ago after serving 2 years with good behavior. He now worked as an accountant for a small, legitimate firm. No luxury cars, no designer clothes, just honest work, honest money, honest life. Every evening, he came home to this modest apartment, and every evening, he thanked God he had a home to come to. Prison had broken his arrogance, but rebuilt his character. Daddy! Chidinma ran to him as he arrived. Mama says we're going to the park today to see Uncle Chidera and Uncle Chukwudi. Namdi lifted his daughter, marveling as always that this beautiful, kind child was his. Namdi. That's right, princess. And you know what? Uncle Chidera's son will be there. And Uncle Chukwudi's daughter. You'll have friends to play with. Chidinma. I love them. They're my best friends. Namdi and Amara exchanged glances. Their daughter playing with the children of the men Amara had tormented, not knowing the painful history, only knowing love and friendship. That was grace. That was redemption.
Look around you. Rich or poor, we share this moment. The lessons learned here.
That morning, before the park, Amara stood on the stage of Victoria Grammar School's auditorium. The same school where she'd been queen of cruelty. The same halls where she'd tormented 2 boys. But she was not that girl anymore. The brothers sat in the back with their families, having come at her invitation without knowing what she planned to say. My name is Amara Okonkwo. I'm here to talk about the scholarship program run by the Nwosu Foundation. But first, I need to tell you my history with this school and with the foundation's founders. She took a deep breath. When I was a student here, I was cruel. I was arrogant. I believed that because my family had money, I was better than others. There were 2 students, Chidera and Chukwudi Nwosu, who I made it my mission to torment. I mocked their parents for selling vegetables and spare parts. I laughed at their worn shoes. I went out of my way to make them feel small. The auditorium was silent, every student listening. I was wrong. Those 2 boys I tormented, one became one of Nigeria's youngest senior advocates. The other became chief of surgery at Lagos University Teaching Hospital. They rose from poverty to prominence, not by stepping on others, but through hard work, intelligence, and strong moral foundation their parents gave them. And when my life fell apart, when my husband was arrested for fraud, when I was pregnant and in crisis, when I had lost everything, those same 2 men I had tormented were the ones who saved me. Not because I deserved it, but because they chose grace over revenge. I'm telling you this because you need to hear it. How you treat people matters. The person you mock today might be the person who saves your life tomorrow. But more than that, cruelty is wrong. It's wrong even if the table never turns. It's wrong even if you never face consequences. It's wrong because we're all human beings deserving of dignity and respect. She paused, looking directly at the students. Some of you come from wealthy families, some from humble ones. But none of that determines your worth. Your worth is in who you choose to be, in how you treat others, in whether you use whatever power you have to hurt or to help. Choose to help. Always choose grace.
It feels so good to finally be here together like this.
Yes, it has been far too long, my friend.
After the speech, both families gathered at Lekki Conservation Center. It had become a monthly tradition. Once enemies, now family. Amara and Namdi sat with Chidinma between them. Chidera with his wife and young son. Chukwudi with his wife and daughter. All equal, all friends. Chidera. That was a powerful speech, Amara. My parents would have been proud of you. Amara. I wish I could have known them. I wish I could apologize to them in person. Chukwudi. I think they know. Wherever they are, they know. And they're proud not just of us, but of you too, for having the courage to change. Chidinma ran with Chidera's son and Chukwudi's daughter, the 3 children chasing each other under the trees. They knew nothing of the painful history. To them, Uncle Chidera and Uncle Chukwudi were just the kind men who told funny stories and gave them sweets. Namdi, do you ever think about how different things could have been if you had chosen revenge instead of grace? Chidera. Sometimes, but then I remember what my mother said. The tallest tree that provides the most shade was once a seed that someone chose to water instead of crushing. We chose to water. And look what grew. He gestured at the scene. Children playing, families united, laughter and joy that had grown from seeds of pain and grace.
Look at that. It's massive, beautiful, and full of possibilities. This is where we start again.
As the sun set over Lagos, painting the sky in impossible colors, Amara held Namdi's hand and watched their daughter play. 5 years ago, she had everything money could buy, but nothing that actually mattered. Now she had almost no money, but everything that mattered. Amara, the table did turn, didn't it? You two rose to power while we fell from it. You could have crushed us. Instead, you saved us. Chukwudi, that's the only power worth having. Everything else is just noise. Amara, Chidinma doesn't know the full story yet. She's too young, but one day I'll tell her everything. I'll tell her that her mama was cruel and proud, that she learned the hardest way possible that true strength isn't in making others feel small. It's in lifting others up. That when the table finally turned, the people she'd hurt chose grace. Chidera. And we'll tell our children why we chose grace. Because that's what our parents taught us. That's what they would want us to pass on. The past had returned, but not to destroy, to transform, to teach, to heal. The table had turned. But instead of crushing those beneath it, it had lifted everyone up. And in the children playing before them, unburdened by the past, full of hope for the future, they could see the fruit of that choice. A new generation learning a different way, learning that when you have power, you have a choice, hurt or heal, destroy or build, revenge or grace. And grace, always grace, was the answer.